Hello and welcome to STH English. US doors are opening to Pakistan, and these are not just doors opening once. This has become a door which is open round the clock, as it were. Deputy Prime Minister and Pakistan's Foreign Minister is in the US, and if you go by the statements that have been made by representatives of the Trump administration, you would find that in the next couple of days, there will be structured meetings that will take place between the Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister and the Trump administration. And these structured meetings will necessarily talk about not just the business opportunities, trade opportunities, diplomatic re-engagement. They will also talk about regional issues. When Tammy Bruce was asked about the likely U.S. mediation on issues such as Kashmir and Indus Water Treaty, her response was quite interesting. Let's look at what the question was and how the response came.
First of all, thanks. Your press team shared the detailed response of my question regarding violation of Indus Water Treaty by India.
Excellent, good.
Your statement says that Pakistan, India, US will encourage direct communication between Pakistan and India to resolve this issue. But I remember President Trump, when he was in Saudi Arabia, he asked Secretary Rubio to invite leadership of Pakistan and India to normalize that relation between the two countries. He, after stopping the war between India and Pakistan, he also offered to mediate on Kashmir. So I was just curious, what are your thoughts that, direct communication on Indian Water Treaty,
but what about Kashmir and the
smile.
And then not many questions here make me smile. And we have a lot of good news, and it's I know we talk about the bad news because things need to be fixed, and then you have a focus on it, and then we know how to move forward. And also the fact that, yes, when I say we're going to take a question back and we need more information, you're the proof that, in fact, we do get back to you. And we have Pakistan, who's going to be here for a bilat, and I'll be participating in that, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
So the question spoke about this sort of wide scope of the U.S. engagement with South Asia, and the answer was not in the negative, but a simple narrative that I would be sitting in that meeting and looking forward to it. Now, looking forward to it could also have been that we avoid getting engaged in these bilateral matters, and these are to be settled by India and Pakistan bilaterally. So clearly, while the U.S. does try to maintain equidistance from Islamabad and Delhi, there is a desire and an opening available to Pakistan to cultivate a favorable policy stance from Washington as far as mediatory role is concerned. What sort of a mediation would that be? Will it be through a point person? Will it be from a distance? Will it be championed by Donald Trump himself, the president of the USA? We do not know. We do not even know whether the US will actually step up to the tempting plate of trying to negotiate a lasting peace between India and Pakistan. We do not know that. However, the doors are open. And these doors are open, and how wide they are open, how consistently they are open, needs to be contrasted with how these doors were shut to Pakistani policymakers. Diplomats had limited access. Media persons had limited access. No significant person was ever invited to Washington to not just to plead Pakistan's case there in terms of getting attentive policy ears, but also to even get a meeting scheduled. But now, one after the other, you have high-ranking dignitaries visiting Washington and high-ranking talks taking place, and these are all very positive signs. Of course, this does not sit well with Delhi. Delhi wanted to, in the famous policy prescription that it laid down in the good old days when everything was honky-dory for India and Washington, and they thought that Pakistan was minus the equation. The policy parameter was de-hyphenate our ties from Pakistan and hyphenate ourselves with Washington. So it was not Indo-Pak. It was US-Indo minus Pakistan. That's the kind of equation Delhi wanted to create. The times have changed, and these times have changed remarkably and decisively. Far from being dehyphenated from Pakistan, India has been decisively rehyphenated with Pakistan. So it is the ceasefire between India and Pakistan done via the offices of President Trump. It is a bilateral issue Kashmir, where the U.S. would want to intervene. That's between India and Pakistan. Indus Water Treaty, yes, a bilateral treaty, but it has an international dimension, and Washington would like this to be resolved. So India is rehyphenated with Pakistan. Washington is maintaining an equidistance, and the doors are opening to Pakistan. I will not be inclined towards reading too much into these doors being open. Washington's doors are pretty unpredictable. They can open as quickly as they get shut tightly, as Modi is discovering now, discovering to its dismay and discovering to its re-evaluation of policy towards China. According to a Reuters report that you're seeing right now on your screen, Modi government has complained to the Trump administration as to why did you host the Pakistan Army chief for lunch, and whether this kind of a shift reflects travesty of those principles that India and US stood for once upon a time. But that once upon a time is over. Once upon a time, India and China were declared enemies, and India, being part of Quad, was meant to be the pivot around which the American policy of encirclement of China revolved. Now, according to this report, Modi is so disheartened and so disappointed with the Trump administration's positive inclination towards Pakistan and the opening of its doors to Pakistani representatives that it is trying to recalibrate its ties with China even. Now, that's a very interesting take. That tells you about Modi government's chaotic policy. This chaotic policy is being seized upon by the opposition, and Rahul Gandhi is really giving Modi government a beating of its lives. If you look at this clip in which Rahul Gandhi is being asked about Modi government's policy, he uses the Sindoor operation as the starting point of the onslaught, but ends up saying that India is totally isolated in the field of foreign policy, and no country ever endorsed India's stance as far as Pakistan is concerned. So Modi is really in a tight corner. It is getting a beating of its life as far as internal challenge is concerned. Washington continues to maintain a reasonable distance and friendly distance from both India and Pakistan, trying to engage both these states. And India doesn't like that. And India is reimagining and recalibrating its ties with its declared enemy and competitor China. If this is not a foreign policy in flux and goalposts which are up in the air, I don't know what is. So Modi government's news flow from Washington, from Beijing, and from Delhi itself is not really great. But I would again add a note of caution that Pakistan too should not build great expectations around these visits. Pakistan needs to tread these grounds in Washington very carefully. While it must peddle aggressively its own policy agenda, do not attach too many hopes with the Trump administration's fair play as far as Kashmir is concerned, or even Indus Water Treaty is concerned. These are the issues on which we have to articulate our own stance and secure our own interests. Putting all the eggs in the basket of the Trump administration is not advisable, as Modi is discovering.